Are you looking for inspiring conversations about faith, film, and life? You're in the right place. Here's the host who knows the right questions to ask, Father Edward Looney.
Hey everybody, it's Father Edward. Grateful you're tuning in for another conversation. Today we're talking about Mary, and we're talking about movies, two things that I love. And so I came across a crowdfunding for the University of Dayton, for the Institute, for the Marian Research Institute International, or IMRI. And so Dr. Neomi DeAnda is joining me today to share a little bit about that crowdfunding, to tell us what the International Marian Research Institute is all about and what they want to do with Mary and film. So I know that Mary makes appearances in lots of different films, not only in apparitions throughout the world, but in film as well, in the way that we depict her and tell her story as well. So thank you, Dr. DeAnda, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Father Edward. Thank you for scheduling us in and for promoting our big fundraiser. So at the International Marian Research Institute, we do research on all things Mary, everything from the questions, the theological questions that remain open within the Catholic Church, in which Lumen Gentium chapter 8 very aptly said future generations need to continue with these questions and studying them. So we work on some of those pieces. And then we also look a lot at Marian culture and Marian art and Marian film, and bring those pieces together in all kinds of different ways. We do research with everyone, with our undergraduates through PhD students, our faculty, and then are working to involve the local community more, as well as engage other communities around the world. And the International Marian Research Institute is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And so we also have a number of alumni from around the world. And so we're excited to be working on new pieces, as well as continuing on with people from the past. And so our current fundraiser, which ends on April 9th, 2025, so there's just a couple days left of this fundraiser, is Movies with Mary. We're trying to raise $5,000 to be able to screen about 5 different movies over the next year to 2 years. It costs about $750 to pay for the movie rights to screen a film, a silver screen film. And so $5,000 may sound like a large amount of money for a screening, but we want to make that available to the University of Dayton and the local community. And as of this morning, so we're recording on Friday morning, April 4th, and as of this morning, we're at $950. So any little contribution helps. I will send along the link to you, Father Edward, that you may then post along with this podcast. So grateful for you to do this for us. The purpose of the fundraiser is to talk a little bit, to have our students engage, but also our faculty engage in and with the films. And the opportunity then hopefully is multifold. So I'll push it back to you to see what might be interesting to you to know more about the fundraiser, more about the films, more about our work.
Yeah, for sure. So there are a lot of different films about Mary. Well, I wrote this piece actually on the Netflix Mary that came out, and I wasn't a big fan of it. I don't know what your department thought about it, but from the mystical standpoint of like Anne Catherine Emmerich, Maria of Agreda, it was a horrendous depiction of the Blessed Virgin. But even if I didn't agree with everything, there are certain things that stand out. For me, I've actually, written some pieces on Marian film. Like, for example, Wonder Woman a few years ago now, probably I had an article on Catholic Exchange. It was called like Mary was the real Wonder Woman. But when I went to see this movie, I remembered just thinking like there are a lot of Marian imageries here. So like, they bring Wonder Woman to a temple, and well, that's Mary being presented in the temple. And I had a few other points that I spoke about. Wonder Woman is battling evil. Well, Mary is interceding and battling evil on our behalf as well. So I found kind of like a Marian parallel to Wonder Woman, which you wouldn't necessarily expect. So I think sometimes you find her in that way, but then there are some of those classics like the Song of Bernadette, the Academy Award winning film that presents Our Lady and such. So and her apparition in Lourdes, and there's old movies, there's new movies, more recent like Fatima. So what kind of movies do you have in mind for the silver screening?
Sure. And because of your review, I actually went, and I don't normally have a Netflix subscription, but I paid for a month to watch that Mary series. And I couldn't make it all the way through, to be honest. I did watch some of it, and my area of expertise, I'm trained as a Catholic theologian, but my area of expertise is much more on religion and culture. So watching these films to see where people, or any kind of engagement with Mary, where people then engage Mary in different ways. Usually I can make it through. And then the other piece you talk about with Wonder Woman and finding Marian themes is something I wish we could see much more. I really would love to see somebody give us an art piece that is like Mary as Wonder Woman and engage some of that DC Marvelverse more. So one of the films, your question was about the films. One of the films we may screen, hopefully will, is the film Blue Beetle, which is also a DC comic film.
Hmm.
And that film, all of the films that we're hoping to screen have actual images, depictions of Mary in some way. And so hopefully in the future we can continue this project, amplify it, expand it, so that things like looking at Mary and Marian images in film could be pulled out, like your example of Wonder Woman. But in the movie Blue Beetle, there are multiple examples of Mary as Our Lady of Guadalupe or Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. Everything from the largest shrine in the home of the family of the young main character who becomes the Blue Beetle to there's a really fascinating scene where when the main character is becoming the Blue Beetle, to his own surprise, he looks into the image of Guadalupe, and it's this such, to me it's so interesting, and I think we could spend just hours and hours talking about that, of him looking into the image and almost like an icon, but then you can see the reflection back of him changing and morphing into Blue Beetle. And so all kinds of things could be seen between who Guadalupe is as an apparition and understood as an apparition, the devotion of Guadalupe, to the understanding of Guadalupe as one of the intermixings of Mary from Europe and the Americas, particularly that region of Mexico. So, and then the intermixing of a young college graduate and now becoming superhero. So those are some of the things that I'm hoping we pull out. That's one example. Another example, though, we hopefully can screen is I Am the Immaculate Conception. So that's much more of a film that is straight up about Mary and Marian history and teaching. So we want to be able to do a balance. We also have not said what exact films we will screen. One, because we don't know how much money we're going to raise. The more money we raise, the more films we can screen. Secondly, because we want to also be able to leave some open for other faculty who are interested in screening Mary movies, because we also have a film studies program at the University of Dayton. So we're hoping to get some faculty involved to then offer that and be able to work with our film studies minor and other.
Yeah, that's great. The interdisciplinary there, the film studies in conversation with the theological department, with IMRI, that's wonderful. Yeah, I've personally not seen Blue Beetle, so I'm gonna have to look it up and see what it's all about. But you bring up an interesting point too. Like Mary doesn't need to necessarily be the subject point of the film. Like you could be watching I've watched several shows and I've noticed, like in an episode of Criminal Minds, that there's a statue of Mary. They're in a church scene, and like, what statue is it? What's that communicating or telling? And the other wonderful piece of Marian devotion and film that came out last year was The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Dallas Jenkins. And you wouldn't expect it. And I don't know if he realized what he did, but I just thought it was one of the most exquisite portrayals of Marian devotion because this little girl goes to this image of Mary that's in the, gathering space of their evangelical church. And she's like, I want to be more like her. I can't play Mary because I'm not like her, And so she kind of realized this, like, I want to be more like the Blessed Mother. And to have it come from an evangelical standpoint too, I just thought was astounding. So I thought that one was marvelous as well.
That one is on our website, on our crowdfunding website. That's the third movie listed, partially because, and you spoke to my heart there, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, the original, is my favorite Christmas film since I was a kid. And having them remake it and see the longer silver screen version was so excited, but I was really impressed with the broadening of Mary, and which is present in the first film in the 1984 version that can be seen for free in YouTube, just for people who might be interested. And we will probably do something like a comparison contrast between that original one and the more recent 2024 version, if we can bring that together. There's another film, I cannot remember the name of it right now, but it's about the Green Bay Packers and farmers.
Oh yeah, Green and Gold.
Yes, thank you, Green and Gold. And I was so surprised. My husband is a giant Packers fan, and we lived in Wisconsin for years. And so we went to see that film, and I was just surprised how also in
the hospital there was a statue of Mary.
And in their house, yes,
yeah,
in the
they
hospital, but also in their house, there was.
Yeah, they had these two medallion images, in the kitchen. Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was coming. I didn't expect it at all. So seeing where Mary appears, she recently appeared just 2 weeks ago on John Oliver's show. During the credits, they used the Ave Maria as a song, as an overlay when talking about sports betting, which is there's a whole lot of levels to discuss Mary and popular culture there. And that really is what we're trying to do with the films as well, and the questions about where do we find God and God's revelation in all of these different spaces.
Yeah, so the University of Dayton houses the International Marian Research Institute, but it also has what's called the Marian Library, which is the largest collection of Marian books in the world. So someone is interested in doing research, the Marian Library is a great thing. And then there's also are the creches still there at UD? The creche exhibits and all that?
So that's also part of the Marian Library, which is a different department, a separate department now from the International Marian Research Institute. We do work together with each other, and the Marian Library has the collection, like you said. We say arguably the largest collection of things Marian in the world, but it probably is, maybe outside of the Vatican. And so it's here in Dayton, Ohio, and set up opportunities. The Marian Library has the opportunities for people to come do research with the collection. And the University of Dayton, through the International Marian Research Institute, also has many scholars working on Mary from many different perspectives. So we also offer that as a resource. So even people who may not be able to visit the University of Dayton, reaching out to both the International Marian Research Institute and the Marian Library staff, as well as visiting the websites of both of our offices, will give you resources. We try to both offices, the Marian Library and the International Marian Research Institute, try to provide a whole lot of public open access resources. So IMRI's main focus is public scholarship. We do write scholarly articles and books, but making sure that we offer things that are openly available, open access, and free to the public is where we're trying to focus most of our work.
So with this crowdfunding and focusing on Mary and movies, is this leading into a course on Mary and film? Is this going to be like a journal with 5 or 6 different essays written by scholars, do you think? Or is there a bigger picture, bigger vision for all this?
Well, in place already, Dr. Gloria Dodd will be teaching an undergraduate course on Marian film this fall. So that's coming. We integrate film into lots of our different courses. This Blue Beetle course will be integrated into my fall course of Latina religious experiences. So it's not a Mary course, but we will talk about Mary and Blue Beetle in that course. So those are some of the curricular pieces, along with, like I said, our film studies minor. Hopefully we're able to integrate some of those pieces in with them. And then we have a new undergraduate first year curriculum coming this next year as well. And we're hoping to work with some of the faculty to offer these opportunities, in particular from the crowdfunding, for those courses so that their students can come screen the films, not be charged for them, and then have additional resources that can be used in classes, but then can also be used in public, can be used in churches. If churches maybe want to have people watch the film on their own, but then come bring people together for discussions and different pieces, we'd like to be able to produce those kinds of things that are not being paid for through the crowdfunding. We're offering all of that through our office. And then we will be launching a journal in 2026, the Journal of the International Marian Research Institute. And so look for a call for papers coming for that very soon, probably it will be the summer. And with that journal, hopefully we can put together a special issue, one of our issues on Marian film in the future.
Okay. Yeah, no, those all sound like wonderful things, wonderful offerings and what it could lead to and all that. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking for that call for papers and all that. So, speaking of colleges and higher education, like I think colleges are struggling right now. I think a lot of colleges are looking at making cuts. And for example, where I am in Green Bay, Wisconsin, there is a college called St. Norbert College, and they are cutting like 8 or 10 different degree programs and things like that. And one of them is actually their theology or religious studies program. So there's a lot of uproar, like how can you be a Catholic college and not offer like courses on theology or whatever? So have you found any difficulty, or like have you found the changing landscape of education occurring at Dayton, for example?
There's definitely a changing landscape. There's been the piece about that's anticipated the cliff, what is called the cliff of less students coming to college since 2008 because there were fewer people born. So there's been that expectation, but then there's also the change in curricula. Like I mentioned before, that we were changing our first year studies to and the first year studies are now focused on they're named after our Marianist founders of the University of Dayton. So one of the big pushes at the University of Dayton is to be able to attend to the signs of the times, how we're working and continuing to move forward while still providing Catholic education from the Society of Mary, or the Marianist, now the Marianist family, is the charism that carries the university, that founded the university, that carries the university 175 years ago. And so we are very much interested in continuing that, with Mary playing a very large role as part of that ongoing charism and feeding into the mission.
Sure.
But there's definitely a feel of that landscape, I think, at all Catholic colleges and universities.
Yeah. When it comes to the crowdfunding for this, someone gives, $25 or $100, like, over the years, are they kept apprised, do you think? Like, is that going to be like, oh, this is what we're doing, this is what you help support? Or will there be ongoing updates?
So yes, we We give updates on the crowdfunding source. This last week, we've been doing that every day, and we'll continue to do one maybe every other day until the end of the campaign. We receive the information, our office receives the information of the people who have donated, and so we will reach out to all of those donors. We will also add them to our email distribution list, and we put out a newsletter about 3 times a year. And so those donors will also receive the newsletter that comes from our office. I mean, that goes out to anyone who's interested in things coming from IMRI. So it's not just for our donors and not just for the people coming from this crowdfunding, but we will, in that newsletter, give regular updates about it. We also, through my own social media accounts, so the International Marian Research Institute does not have a social media presence, but through my own accounts of Neomi DeAnda on Facebook, Instagram, sometimes X, not very often, I post updates about what's going on at the International Marian Research Institute. So that's another way to get some information on social media.
Yeah, well, all wonderful things. And yeah, a lot of people that follow me for movie reviews and movie projects and things like that. So I think knowing about like what a Catholic college is doing with Mary and film is definitely worthwhile to know, but hopefully to support as well, and maybe send Andrew Jackson your way or something like that. So that's wonderful.
So and you already sent us a donation, so thank you.
I should have done more, but I just did that much right now. But yeah,
every dollar helps. I will say that for anyone who's
Well, in the future, I could maybe just sponsor a whole screening or something too if you need. So we could be in talk later about that. But
we will, as well as you writing something for and with and for.
Okay. Yeah, happily. Well, very good. Well, thanks so much. And I'll put the link in the show notes for the GoFund, it's through the university, but for the crowdfunding for this project. And I've supported it, and I hope you will too. So thanks so much, Dr. DeAnda, for joining me.
Thank you so much, Father Edward. Take care, everyone.
If you liked today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. And don't forget to stay up to date with what Father Edward is doing by following him on Facebook, X, or Instagram at the handle @FrEdwardLooney. Thanks for listening, and please join Father Edward again next time for another inspiring conversation.